It's time for my second lot of games that I got from the Goodwill Finds online store, as well as a couple new releases and some other odds and ends. It's the Bargain Game Hunter. So yes, I know, another pickups week. We have a lot of those, I'm sure you can tell. Also, I apologize if I look a little more disheveled than usual. My AC broke again. Our apartment's AC tends to break. Usually it's every couple months or so. And it broke today. So we're just waiting for maintenance to come and fix it. But it's kind of annoying. But anyway, we're going to start off with a buy two get one. Because I decided to take advantage one more time of the buy two get one free sale that was going on at GameStop. I did this on the day of Switch 2 pre-orders. Now, we're going to do a little side quest update because, of course, I am doing the Switch 2 challenge where the goal is to trade in enough stuff that we find out in the wild to pick up a Switch 2. That's the goal. We'll talk about that more in a sec. But let's get to the buy two get one pickup. So we'll start off with Lemon Cake on the Xbox. This was like 15 bucks, I think. It looks interesting. It's like a cozy kind of ingredient pastry making game. It looks fun. It's not a game that you see super often, so I figured I'd pick it up. Might as well, especially because I only paid like 15 bucks for it. I actually paid less than that because when I pre-ordered my Switch 2 stuff, I had some extra credit. I only put the minimum down on everything. And with the extra credit, I think I only paid $11 out of pocket for all three of these games, which is really good. So I paid nothing after that one, which is pretty neat. Then, because I was looking for another game to go with a Lemon Cake that was in the same price range, I picked this up because, again, it's not a game you see super often. Does have a PS5 upgrade, and it looks like a pretty fun action side-scrolling game. We have Joe and Mac Caveman Ninja on the PS4. Does have a PS5 upgrade, which is fun. Looks like a fun side-scroller, and this one was like, I think basically I paid 11 bucks for this one, so not too bad there. And then the game that I originally intended to get, because they had it, and I'm like, well, I gotta complete the set. Because I have a sealed copy of the sequel on Xbox, but I don't have the original, so I need the original. We have Ori and the Blind Forest, the definitive edition on the Xbox. I also have this digitally, so now I have a physical copy on Xbox of both games, and I also have the dual pack on the Switch. So I have technically on Ori and the Blind Forest 3 times, but that's fine, whatever. And then a new release just came out that I got today. I'm going to do an unboxing, of course, because it is a special edition. Corey is super excited to play this, and I'm excited to check it out because I've heard good things about it. We have Fatal Fury, City of Wolves, the deluxe edition on the PS5. So, big box, got some extra goodies in it. Like I said, we will do an unboxing of it on the channel, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, good start. Got lots more coming. Be on the lookout. It is now time for our first ever update for the Nintendo Switch 2 Challenge. See, pretty cool. I made an intro. Now, to be fair, the intro was designed when I originally intended this to be a separate series, but now that I've made it kind of a side quest, I'll just use it to introduce when I'm talking about the Switch 2 Challenge. So, in previous videos, I traded a bunch of stuff. I had $100 or a lot of money in credit. Now, granted, I did not use it all for the Switch 2 pre-orders. First of all, I did get a Switch 2 pre-order. I decided to camp out in front of my GameStop. Now, I got there at about 9 a.m. and when I got there, I was about 30th in line, so a lot of people had the same idea. I'm not going to go over everything that I discussed because I did a short talking about my pre-order experience, so take a look at that if you want to see it. But yeah, I did get a pre-order. So I pre-ordered the following things. The Switch 2 bundle with Mario Kart, against my better judgment, because My original thought process was to get the regular console and then Mario Kart physically. I went with the bundle just because several people pointed out, like, Mario Kart's a game you're probably never going to want to remove from your system, so rather than having to constantly put it back in, you just get the digital copy. I'm like, I guess, sure, so I did that. Mario Kart bundle, and then the Pro Controller, and then I got, I believe it was 3 games? I'm trying to remember. I got Donkey Kong, which is not coming out at launch, that comes out later. Bravely Default, and Street Fighter. Believe that was all I pre-ordered. I wanted to pre-order the camera, but they didn't have any more available at my GameStop. Now, hopefully they will get more, or I can find one online. I know I can get one now online if I want to. I'd rather pay for it in trading credit because that is part of the challenge. So I'm not going to pre-order it until I have, I guess, the full amount to pay for it with trade credit. But that's kind of the idea, is I want to pay for it in trade credit. So, but that's what I have right now. So I have the bare minimum on each of those items. And so from here on out, whenever I pick up items out in the wild, I'm going to trade in that stuff towards the Switch 2. Now, one thing I'm going to do, and this is kind of I think it counts. So I bought my lot of games from Goodwill, and you saw that on the most recent episode. So several of the games there, I'm actually upgrading by getting better versions of them. Mostly Resident Evil 7, Steep, and Ukulele. So I have all those games, but I'm going to swap out my copies for the copies from the lot and trade those new copies in, along with Infinite Warfare. So it's not going to be a ton of credit. It's going to be like $10, maybe a little bit more, but I think it's a good start. I think my goal is going to be to pay off the system first. I think that's probably the best way to go about it, is focus on one particular item. The system's the most important, so we want to pay that off first, and then gradually work on everything else as I get more credit. So, system's the first goal for this challenge, and then we'll work our way through everything else. But yeah, that is our first update for the Switch 2 challenge, and as we go game hunting, we'll see what else we can pick up to flip the GameStop and get our Switch 2 for the lowest amount of money possible. Alright, I am back, and I have gotten a few more games and a little bit of a story time. So we'll start off with these. So, as you know, in a previous episode, I won a auction on Goodwill Finds, which is a website that essentially takes items from Goodwill that are donated and sells them at auction. Kind of a shady thing, but I figured I'd give it a shot just to see if maybe I can snag some decent games. And I actually did. I snagged a pretty big Xbox Series lot with some really quality adds to my collection, as well as some stuff to trade in as well. So I thought that was pretty fun. So I decided while I was, browsing the site, I'll throw on a couple extra bids, kind of lowball numbers, and, if I win, I win, but I'm not going to try to exceed anything. Well, to my surprise, I did win another lot, and it's 4 sealed PS5 games, sorry. I ended up paying about $27 for all 4 of these. I think it's a pretty solid deal. I'm probably going to keep one of them and then either trade in the other 3 or sell them to Double Mint. I'm not 100% sure what I want to do yet, but we'll find out. So, what did I get from the Goodwill lots? We'll start off with NHL 24 on the PS5. It's last year's NHL game, so obviously it's a year old, but it's sealed and it still has at least a little bit of value, so that's not bad. In a similar vein, we also have last year's MLB games. We have MLB The Show 24 on the PS5, also brand new sealed. So those two, not the most exciting, but when you consider what I paid for the whole lot, it's not bad. Then, this game would probably normally be the highlight, except I already have it, so I don't care. I'm probably going to trade it in or sell it. But we have Sonic Superstars on the PS5. I have this on the Switch, so I don't need it on PS5. But I have a brand new sealed copy that I'm probably going to get rid of. And then the one game I'm actually going to keep, which It's a VR game, but it's not. It doesn't require VR. You can play it without it. So I don't know. It just seemed interesting, and I figured might as well hold on to it. We have Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 on the PS5. So all 4 of those were brand new sealed. I paid a little more than $5 a piece. It was like 7 something a piece. So not bad, to be honest. I did pretty well, and I can easily make back almost all my money. Even if I trade in the 3 games I'm not going to keep to GameStop, that's almost the entire lot. I think I'll end up paying like a couple bucks to keep Help Wanted 2. So it's pretty much a win, but we'll see what I end up doing with them. And then the other pickups that I got were from Woot. Because once again, Woot had a 10% off coupon that they did for one day only. They do that sometimes where they'll just be like, hey, if you buy stuff today, here's an extra discount. So I decided to pick up a few games that I've been eyeing that were pretty good price, and I'm pretty happy with what I got. So we'll start off with Wildermyth on the PS5. This looks interesting. I've seen it at a few different places for like the $20 to $30 range. I got it for less than 15 on Woot. Looks pretty cool. Kind of unique looking game, so figured I'd give it a shot. Then we have a couple Switch horror games. We have Dreadout 2 on the Switch. Looks interesting. Don't know a whole lot about it, but it looks interesting, so I figured I'd give it a shot. And then we have The Bridge Curse 2, the Extrication, I think, on the Switch. But yeah, first-person horror game. Figured I'd give it a shot. Apparently the first one, which is a really expensive game, just got a reprint on VGP. I might try to pick that up, although I can't really pick up much for a little bit because I've got rent coming up, and then on top of that, I got a few other things going on. So it might be a little bit before I can pick something up, and by then it might be gone, but who knows? We'll try. So yeah, pretty solid week so far. All right, it is time for our final recap. Now, I was originally planning on adding one additional item to this particular lot of stuff. It hasn't come in. It's not supposed to come in until tomorrow. Spoiler alert, I do often film videos at the same time concurrently with other videos. So I have another lot of games that I'm working on getting everything for. I'm just going to include it in that video since that one doesn't have quite as many things and the timeline lines up a little better now. So I figured this one, rather than waiting around to get it done, let's just get it done now. So we've got a decent collection of stuff. We have some Woot games. We have my lot from Goodwill Finds, a buy two get one, and special edition. So not too bad stuff. Let's go ahead and go through our Woot stuff first. We'll start off with The Bridge Curse 2. The Extrication on the Switch. This was a Woot game that I picked up for a pretty good price. Figured it was worth a snag. I believe I got all the Woot games 10% off because they did another promo where they'll give you an extra 10% on top of the Prime discount or whatever. So this wasn't too bad of a pickup, especially for a brand new sealed Switch horror game. So might as well add to the collection. I paid $24. This is worth $40, so really solid pickup there. Another Woot pickup is Dreadout 2 on the Switch. Another Switch horror game, looked interesting. Figured I'd grab it. I paid $25, it's worth $42. Next up we have Wildermyth on the PS5. I paid $13, it's worth $18, so not bad there. Then we're gonna get to our lot of games from Goodwill Finds. Now, a little bit of an explanation with these. I know I already went over it, so I'm not going to go into full detail, but I paid $27 for the whole lot. And my plan is to keep one game, and then my original plan was to trade in the rest to GameStop and put them towards my Switch 2. However, I reached out to Double Mint Games, which, if you haven't heard of Double Mint, they partner with a number of other YouTubers, including RJC Media and Easy Gamer. Easy Gamer is actually the one who introduced them to me. But anyway, they buy games and put them and sell them themselves. So I reached out to them because I'm working on trying to put together like a lot to send to them, because they have a buy list and they pay pretty well on games that are on that buy list. So I'm trying to put together like a list of, or a group of buy list games I can sell to them for good profit. And I mentioned to them, well, I've got these 3 sealed PS5 games, and they offered me more than what GameStop was going to offer in trade-in. So I'm actually going to be selling those to Double Mint. But I still have them for now, so we'll go through them all. So we have, I guess to start off, we'll do the least exciting ones. MLB The Show 24 on the PS5. It's last year's MLB The Show game. All of these are brand new sealed, so I mean, they're still good games, and they're all PS5 games, but I only really needed to keep one of them, so that's what I'm doing. So I paid, it was part of the lot, so 27 total. This one by itself is actually worth 20 bucks. So that game by itself is almost worth the whole lot. And then we have NHL 24 on the PS5, last year's hockey game. I paid, it was part of the lot, and it's worth 17. So 2 old sports games, brand new sealed by themselves, are worth more than the lot, which is why I got the lot for a good deal. Then we have Sonic Superstars on the PS5. I already have this game on the Switch. Otherwise, I'd be tempted to keep it. But I figure I don't need to double dip on Sonic Superstars. I'm just going to keep the Switch version, and I'll trade this one in. So it's part of the lot. It's worth 20 bucks. And then the one game I am keeping is going to be Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 on the PS5, of course. It's loose, so I'm going to have to open it. That's fine, though. Apparently, this is a VR-compatible game. However, it is not required to be a VR game. So you can play it without VR. I don't know. It's the one game in the collection I didn't have, and I figure, essentially, for paying as little as I did for the whole lot, might as well grab it. So this was part of the lot, and it is worth 19 bucks. Then we're going to get to our GameStop Buy 2 Get 1. These I picked up actually on Switch 2 pre-order day, because basically what they told us when we were all going in the store is like, we want to make things as quick as possible, so if you have other things you want to do besides just pre-order Switch 2, you want to bring them up with you when you get to the counter. So I very quickly, while I was waiting in line, scoured the store and grabbed a couple games to pick up as part of Buy 2 Get 1. Bada bing, bada boom. I did it. So we have Joe and Mac Caveman Ninja on the PS4. Looks like a fun platformer. It has the stickers that came with the game. I think it was supposed to come with other stuff. Yeah, it's supposed to come with a trading card, a keychain, and stickers. It only came with the stickers, but still, that's more than you would expect from a pre-owned game at GameStop. So figured it was an interesting pickup. I paid 11 bucks, and this is worth 25. Not bad at all. I also picked up this one with credit, because I had some leftover credit after pre-ordering on my Switch 2 stuff. So we have Lemon Cake on the Xbox. Looks like a fun little cozy game. Not a game you see very often, especially at a GameStop. So again, I figured it was worth a snag, especially because I paid nothing out of pocket for this. And it is worth 17. And then my freebie, which is kind of the catalyst for why I did all this, is Ori and the Blind Forest, the definitive edition on the Xbox One. I already have Will of the Wisps on Xbox One. Now I technically have the collection on the Switch as well, so I did double dip, but I figured it would be wrong of me to have one game physically on Xbox and not both, so I figured I'd grab it. I paid nothing because this was free, worth 19. And then last but certainly not least, we have our special edition, which is Fatal Fury, The City of the Wolves on the PS5. Now, this isn't the actual game because Corey is playing it. This is the soundtrack in a steelbook. If you want to see my unboxing of Fatal Fury, please check that out elsewhere on the channel. It's a pretty solid special edition. Corey's been playing it. Apparently he really likes it, which is good. But yeah, it's a solid return to form for an old school fighting game franchise. I paid 80 bucks for that, I believe. Yep, it's worth 80 bucks because it just came out. And there we go. That is everything I picked up We got an interesting collection of new games to add to the collection. Of course, some stuff that I'm going to be sending to Double Mint, some Woot pickups. You know, definitely a more modest week, but I would probably expect more modest weeks coming up, especially because I really need to buckle down and focus on the Switch 2, because that's coming out in a month, and I have a lot of ground to make up when it comes to that. So I would expect a lot of my focus for the next few weeks is going to be on picking up Switch 2 trade fodder, basically, or stuff to sell, you know, whatever we can find. But anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of the Bargain Game Hunter. Thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell. That way you know when new videos drop. And I will see you on the next episode of the Bargain Game Hunter. Bye-bye.